What is going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Living Freed channel. My name is Tyler Freed, and in this video, I'm going to be explaining why investing in a depreciating asset like a semi-truck is not a big deal to me. I got asked the question, how do you feel about your initial investment going down in value whenever you bought your truck and whenever you started out as an owner-operator? And I actually got that question from The Joy of Trucking. And for those of you that are at Crete, you know exactly who The Joy of Trucking is. I don't think anybody that works at Crete doesn't know who they are. And if you don't know, you should go follow their channel because they do have a great channel. And I'm personally subscribed to them. I've been watching them for a couple of years, and it was cool to see them comment on my video. And they asked a very great question. How do you feel about your initial investment depreciating in value when you started? And I'm going to answer it with very basic numbers, generic numbers. These are not exacts because everybody's trucking business is different. Everybody has different expenses. Everybody has different ways that they operate. They're in different divisions. And so I'm just going to use basic numbers to explain why investing in a semi-truck is not a bad thing. It isn't bad that it's depreciating in value. There's a way to look at it, a way to do the math to actually understand that, hey, no, this is a great investment. And again, it'll depend on your paperwork. It'll depend on, do you have a loan on that truck? Did you pay cash for your truck? Do you have a low truck payment, a high truck payment, high insurance costs, low insurance costs? It all depends. There's so many nuances to trucking and the trucking business, but I'm going to use, again, a very simple way to explain why it's not such a big deal. And so I haven't posted in a while, and to let y'all know, I've just been very busy getting my truck serviced and everything going with this truck over the last couple of weeks, and now I'm good to go. I've got this truck fully inspected, fully serviced, and got a 250,000 mile warranty on this truck, got that all set up. And so I've just been very busy running and, you know, focusing on being an owner operator. I am a new owner operator, and I have a lot to learn, and I'm going to be learning every single day. But over the last couple weeks, I just wanted to take my time to learn and focus on running this operation. And so, but I'm ready to start making videos again. Don't worry, I'll never go away. For those of you that don't know, I will never go away. I'll never stop doing videos, but you know, trucking's my main bread and butter. I focus on my main thing. YouTube is a hobby, but just know I'll never go away. So if I don't post for a week or 2 weeks, just know I'm either just taking some time off and I just need a break from doing YouTube, or I'm just busy with other things. You know, like I said, you know, trucking is my main money maker. So I like to focus on the main money maker and making sure that what I'm doing with this is successful, and then YouTube comes second. So that's pretty much it. That's why I haven't posted, but don't worry, I'll get right into the topic of this video. Again, asked by The Joy of Trucking, and one of the best questions I've gotten about being an owner operator. So how do I feel about my initial investment going down in value as soon as you start? Well, I'm not worried about that. Let's say, okay, and I'm going to use round numbers. These are not exacts, like I said. But let's say I put $100,000 into becoming an owner operator. And let's just say I'm using all cash, all my savings. Well, let's say the truck is $70,000, right? I'm going to buy a good used truck for $70K. I'm going to pay for it in cash. Okay, I'm putting $70,000 into that truck. Now, I'm also going to have a $30,000 emergency fund for that truck. And that's going to be for any major expenses, any major problems I have with that truck that is not covered under warranty, or when that warranty expires, I already have that emergency fund to begin to rebuild that engine as the engine gets older. So you just consider that emergency fund money spent, money in the business. It's part of your investment. The truck is not the only investment you're making. The emergency fund is also the investment you're making into the business, because again, with these trucks, you have to maintain them, you have to repair them as they get older, right? Everybody knows that. And so consider, again, that emergency fund, money spent, money invested into the company, whether it's in the truck or not. So let's say total, you're spending $100,000 to start up as an owner operator, okay? And whether you're leased on or you're not leased on, that's irrelevant. I'm just gonna make this a very simple example to explain the depreciation and why it's not a big deal. So let's say that $100,000, let's say that truck goes to zero in value. Let's say you keep it, and it's not going to, but let's say you plan to drive that truck for, 3 years. You're gonna buy this used truck, you're gonna buy it or run it for 3 years, and during that 3 years, you can make an extra $50,000 per year. This is after you pay yourself. Now, in the last video, I explained what do owner operators really make, or how to know what you're really making. Well, again, in this example, let's say you can make $100,000 a year as a company driver, but if you became an owner operator, you did the numbers, you ran the numbers and said, hey, if I drove the same amount of miles as an owner operator that I did as a company driver, I made 100 as a company guy, but let's say I make 150 a year as an owner operator. That is also including a maintenance fund. You need to factor in 10 to 15 cents per mile that you drive for maintaining your equipment, right? And that you can do that. Those are realistic numbers. You can make between 150 to 175 easily if you get out here and run as an owner op, and you can make 100 grand a year as a company driver. That is true. And you can do that with no financial risk at all. That is true. I don't recommend being an owner operator for 90% of the drivers out there. I think 90% of people should be company drivers. I do want to be very clear on that. But again, I just wanted to answer this question for them. But okay, let's say you can make let's say you can make 150 as an owner op and 100,000 as a company driver. So your real earnings, the business is really earning not 150, it's earning that extra 50,000 a year. Okay, and you want to take that $50,000 and you say, okay, I'm going to pay myself back for that initial investment. That $100,000 is spent, and let's say it's going to zero. It's not going to zero. Your truck will be worth something after 3 years or 4 years, however long you want to keep that truck. You have to decide, but I'm going to use a 3-year example to explain my point, right? So let's say you're making $50,000 a year and you're going to do that for 3 years. How much money is that you're making extra in 3 years? $150,000. You invested 100. That 100 is money spent. It's going to zero. Your truck's depreciated. Say it's worth nothing. All that money's gone. But you made 50,000 extra a year. You made a total of $150,000 in 3 years, right? You did. Okay, but you have to factor in the lost value, the lost depreciation. So you take that 150 and subtract the initial $100,000 investment, and now you've made a true profit of $50,000 in 3 years on a $100,000 investment. This is assuming your truck is worth zero. That $70,000 truck you bought is worth nothing, which it won't be. It'll probably still be worth like 25 to 30 grand after 3 years. It should be, at least, okay? It just depends on how the truck market is doing at the time. But let's say, it's worth half the value, right? Let's say it's worth 30 grand after 3 years. Okay, we'll factor that in at the end. But you take that extra 50, multiply it by however many years you're gonna run that truck, and then you subtract the initial investment, and that gives you your true profit after factoring in all that money spent, depreciation going down to zero. Well, if you made, $50,000 and you divide that by 3, that's what you made per year, truly per year, after you factor in that truck going to zero, right? And I believe, and I did the numbers before I did this video, and it's right around 16,000 a year. If you divide 50,000 by 3, that's right around $16,000 per year of pure profit, factoring in a truck going to zero. So you would take that $16,000 and divide that by the initial $100,000 investment, and that would give you roughly a 16% rate of return. That is factoring in your truck going to zero. It would. Now, you can add later on, you could add 25 to 30 grand, however much you think the truck would be worth after 3 years, and it would actually raise that return a little bit from 16%. But let's just say, hey, that investment's going to zero, right? Well, if you're making 50 a year, you'll pay yourself back after 2 years, and then in that last year, that's where you'll make all of your money, right? And okay, you made $50,000 in 3 years, pure profit, factoring in depreciation and everything, and just acting like the truck went to zero, which it's not. Again, I'm being clear, I know it's not, but let's just say it did. You're still getting, in this example, a 16% rate of return. And what you want to do is you want to look at, okay, what are the alternatives? What are alternative investments that I could make with that same $100,000? I could invest in index funds. I could buy an S&P 500 index, and without any work at all, I could earn between 8 to 10% per year just investing passively in an index fund. You could, right? Or you could take that money and buy real estate. It's going to be very hard, though, to exceed a return of 16%. 16% is a very high return unless you are somebody that can find a deal on a property or find a deal on a stock. It's very hard to beat the returns that the stock market provides, and it's very hard to find excess returns out of the ordinary returns, even in real estate. And so, the best way to invest, in my opinion, the most aggressive way to invest, it has way more risk, but a lot higher return, is to start a business. And you can actually earn more in your own business than, in my opinion, than any other asset class. But the reason why it's not always smart to invest in your own business is because there is significant risk. There is things like depreciation. There are, it's a lot more headaches, but if you keep pushing and you keep working and you learn and make your business more efficient, you will make more money than, even in this example. I mean, you can make more than what I just talked about, but I just wanted to kind of give a very basic example. I hope I'm making sense. But that's how you would do that. You just take your initial investment, figure out how much you can make above what you could make as a company guy. That's your true profit. Multiply that by however many years you're going to keep that truck. You could keep the truck for 4 years, and that would actually change the return on this investment. It would. Let's say you kept it for 4 years. Okay, you made $200,000 in 4 years. Divide that by 4. That's $25,000 a year. You divide that by the initial $100,000 investment. Now you're making 25% on your money, right? Because again, again, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, you're going to use that emergency fund to be rebuilding engines, fixing turbos, replacing radiators, transmission. Yeah, but you already had that emergency fund counted as lost money. You already counted that as that's invested in the business. I'm not getting that back. That is specifically used for, rebuilding the truck. That's what it's for. So it's money already spent. Well, again, if you kept that truck for another year, it changes the return entirely to 25%. If you can make 25% on your money, 16%, 25% on your money, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better investment than that elsewhere, unless you start your own company, an innovative company or something like, you're the next Apple or Google or, something crazy that no one's ever thought of before. It's going to be very hard for you to find exponential returns in alternative investments. And the thing about a business, and I'll close with this, the thing about a business is you control, especially that you own, you control the operations. You control what you do with the money in the business. You control, what you just control everything. And it puts the return power in your hands. That's what I like about trucking, is that, hey, as long as you do the work in trucking, you will make the money. you will make the money, company driver or owner operator. But I hope I answered your question and made it make sense. Joy of trucking, I hope I did. But yeah, don't worry if you're going to do it. I'm not recommending you do it. I think, because I believe you did say that, you know, you're planning on retiring in a couple years. It may not be worth it for you. If you don't have a lot of time for an investment to pay off. See, I just explained, like if you kept that truck for 3 years, you can make about a 16 to 20% rate of return factoring in the depreciation, right? Well, if you kept it for an extra year, but that's 4 years, you're making a 25% rate of return. If you held it for 5 years, every investment that you make, you need to think long term. If it's real estate, if it's the stock market, if it's your own business, you got to think long term, and you got to see how you're not really going to have that investment pay off for you until after about 4 or 5 years of that initial investment. It takes time to recoup all of the money that you invested. It takes time to truly churn a profit from your initial investment. It's very hard. Business is hard. Investing is hard. I learned a lot about investing and patience, and how, you know, the longer you're in the investment, the better it pays off, because I've been investing consistently in the stock market for 5 to 6 years now. And I've been through all the ups and downs of the stock market the last 5 or 6 years. And there's been a lot of downs. And that has actually trained me to handle the downs in trucking, the repairs, the breakdowns that you're going to have to make in trucking, the costs of the repairs. You know, you have to have a long-term outlook. You also have to have the time to do it. So if you are someone that's looking to retire in a couple of years, it's probably not worth it for you. If you don't want to handle all the headaches and everything, just drive company and make really good money, and take your savings from that and invest in something else that isn't work. Like, you know, I still own index funds. Majority of my money is not in trucking. And I don't worry about my index funds. I don't worry about that. I own a total U.S. stock market index, and I also own a total international market index, and I don't worry about those. I don't have to work for the money that I make from that, the dividends. I don't have to work in those companies that are working to grow and increase their value. I don't have to worry about that. But this business, this is taking all of my attention. Like, I've only been doing this for a little over a month now. And when you own a truck, you are consumed by running even just one truck. You are consumed by it. It has totally changed my career entirely. And honestly, it caught me off guard. I didn't really expect for this to be as big of a responsibility as it is. Look, I'm learning. Like I said, I'm learning, you know, I'm never stop learning, but I'm learning a whole lot just in a month. I've learned a ton about how much responsibility that you have over being a company driver. You know, 100%. It is harder. Not saying don't do it, but I am saying that you have to understand the risks, the rewards. But as I just alluded to and showed you, or well, told you, you know, the rewards can be very high in trucking, and you can honestly make more than an extra 50,000 just in this video, but you can make more than that a year if you get out here and you run and you work your butt off. You can probably double what you made as a company driver. You could, realistically, if you got out here and just had no life and worked, you can make 200,000 a year as an owner operator. And you know, you could, right? The sky is the limit with your own business. However, if you're not willing to deal with all the headaches and everything, it may not be worth it for you. That is how I'm going to end this video, but I hope I explained to you how to not worry about the depreciation if you're going to get out here and become an owner op. You shouldn't have to worry about that as long as you know your numbers and you know what you can realistically make above being a company driver. You can run the numbers and see what your return will be over 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and that'll tell you whether it's worth the investment or not. So God bless. I appreciate everybody for being subscribed to this channel. You are why I do this. All the positive people that comment, you are why I continue to do this. I really appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Stay tuned for the next video, and peace out.